string, doing its own thing.
Now, rough around the edges is about using what we can find. And as I've done on other activities, if you've been following through the course of the rocket, the plane wings, and now kites, we have been using A4 paper and what we can find. Here we've got two A4 sheets, and Annie next to me here has her two A4 sheets. And the first job you're going to have to do is join these two sheets together. So taking some sellotape, Annie's going to take her tape, and I'll keep up with her as well on this, and stick them together to make one, what we call A3 sheet. So there we go. So we've both
Do you start off with an A3 sheet, or is it best to do it in two A4 pieces?
Well, actually, if you have an A3 sheet, use the A3 sheet. Or a piece of newspaper. That's a fair point, because it is what you've got around the house. At the moment we've got lots of A4 paper because of the printer, and we don't have so much A3. So that's why I've been joining them together. But yeah, Annie's right. Now the next thing is we're both going to fold it shut like a sort of large comic book, and where we've taped is now the spine of the fold. And the next thing we're going to make is what's called a keel. And you usually find a keel on the bottom of a ship, but also kites. And we're going to turn it so it's on landscape to us. We're going to take the stuck spine edge, and we're both going to fold it over a few centimetres, or if you're in America or other parts of Britain where we've not into decimalisation, maybe an inch. We have 2 centimetres, 2 or 3 centimetres, or roughly an inch folded over. And you can see when I push it, and Annie's is different size, that doesn't matter. Now we can lift up our keel, as you can see there, and now we have to turn it back round, and then we're going to open very carefully the top sheet, but keeping our fingers on the keel. So we have a seam here that we're going to now sellotape down with some of our sellotape that we prepared earlier to keep that seam in place. Now I can lift up, and he's just catching up there, and you can see that the keel is still there, but I've sellotaped along this seam. And now I'm going to fold it shut again.
You can't see the original sellotape.
No, you can't, and it's now, you can see that still sticking up.
Yeah.
Now, to draw a shape, now we're not going to use templates. You want to fold yours shut too?
Oh yeah.
We're not going to use templates. You could if you want to, but I'm trying to encourage people to be a bit more creative and inventive. So decide on a shape, but because it's folded in half, this shape is going to be mirror imaged. So we're going to try and create a symmetrical shape. On this one I'm just going to keep it quite simple. I'm going to build sort of a wing-like shape there, and I'm going to make a tail at this end. I know it doesn't look like anything recognisable, maybe it looks a bit like a tree or something. But once you've got that, the lines, I'm sort of going to then get ready to cut that out. Now he's going to do her shape, which she's actually chosen to do the hardest shape possible for a paper kite. And we planned that earlier because this is a more straightforward shape.
And we're allowed to cut through the keel. You
can cut through the keel. And he's gone for something that looks like a butterfly. Meryl's a little bit harder. So you can probably demonstrate the more simple approach, which is mine, and Annie's, which is going to be more challenging. It generally just takes more material on these. And we're nearly there, we're cutting away merrily. And you can see I'm following my lines reasonably closely. Of course you can colour the kites, or use coloured paper if you have it. Now that's discarded, we don't need that part. And if I open it up, you now can see I was trying to make some sort of bird shape. Maybe I can cut a little beak type pointy bit there. And Annie is now making some patterns. Now it's up to you how you decorate your kite. Now what we have is both our kites. Now that's the back of Annie's butterfly, Leave it like so, and I'll turn mine over to match Annie's. And the keel is on the other side. Now you can see the sellotape there. The next thing I'm going to do is make a spar out of straws. Now you can use bamboo. Annie, could you pass me some of the bamboo and I'll demonstrate there. Now this bamboo has actually been taken from an old bamboo blind, and they're really good if you have one. But more...
Ask your parents beforehand.
Yes, don't dismantle the family curtaining arrangements, otherwise you will get into trouble. But paper straws, now April's the last month where in Britain plastic straws are available to buy in the shops. So these are quite sturdy, nice, thick paper straws. They'll probably do reasonably well. Plastic straws were excellent for this, but of course they do cause problems for the environment. Now the hardest bit is cutting diagonally across the straw, so you end up with a point. And I'm going to do the same with this straw.
Just be careful of fingers.
Fingers, and of course if you've got points, eyes as well, especially if you've got young ones. Now you press them together, that makes a longer straw, and a little bit of tape to reinforce the strength of the join. And get that to actually match up. There you can see I'm rolling it round, and the straws are now longer. I'm going to take that straw and line it up at the top edge of my kite. Annie's kite is going to be different. You'll notice it's diagonal from that point to that point. That's because it's a bit of a harder shape to make fly. You'll have to use more tails for that one as well when we come to tails. Now I'm going to take some tape and stick in the middle first, because that will position your straw and make it easier to keep straight when you put the next bit of tape on. So I'm going to take another bit of tape for this end, stick it down, another piece of tape for this end, and hopefully that will hold that in place. Now I'm going to lift it carefully and turn it round, and you can see the keel on mine now sticking up, and on this side you can see where the straws are acting as a spar. Annie's now coming along. It's a much harder one to do, the butterfly, so parents be aware of that. Every child will be like, I want a butterfly please, and you'll be going, oh, a butterfly, because they are tricky to fly. Nearly there then. You run out of tape?
Nope. Okay.
Oh, well done. So Annie has now got her butterfly. We flip it over, and you'll notice because it's got two sets of straws, it'll be a bit heavier and less flexible. Makes it more efficient for flying, but also more unstable in the wind, so it'll need more tails. Now we're going to be looking at making tails. Now, because it's rough around the edges productions, we are just going to use strips of white A4 paper joined together with tape. Or you can make tails from chopped up newspaper, or if you have crepe paper, brilliant. Crepe paper will work beautifully, more colourful. For my kite, I can probably double over the tails and they can be shorter. And I take a little bit of tape, but with Annie's they probably need to be longer, and she'll need more of them. So I'm going to put one in the middle to demonstrate that. Then I'm going to take another one, double it over, take a bit of our tape and put it sort of towards the tip of that one. Now I've stuck all the tails on now, and Annie has done the same, and if you lift them up carefully you can see how they're displaying. Annie's made a nice display there. And if we flip our kites over with the keel back up again, the last thing we sort of need to do now is take a line, or in this case a piece of string. Now I've taken an ordinary piece of string because you can see it better on camera, but probably a sort of strong thread for these little kites is equally good because it's lighter. But a string, if you've got young children, is probably safer because you're not going to wrap it around the cat or anything like that. But like you would do with a piece of thread, it could be a bit dangerous for that reason, or even a child's finger, so you have to be careful. I find traditional string like this is probably the best bet. Now, where you stick a string on a kite is probably the most difficult thing. But on average, these kites, it would be approximately about just less than a quarter of the way down. And that becomes the centre of forces, or the bridle point. Now, you can either make a hole through the keel, and you could reinforce that area with a piece of tape to make it stronger. But for speed, I'm just going to line my piece of string here with its end on one side of the keel and take some sellotape that Annie's just prepared, and I'm going to stick that down. Now, just doing that alone wouldn't be strong enough. It would probably pull off and pull through, but for demonstration purposes it's probably adequate. And I'll just put another piece on. It's not very neat doing it that way, so putting a hole through would be better. Now that gives you about 1.5 meters. And the reason the string isn't very long is you can make, with rolled up paper spills, a sort of paper wand, and then stick the string on the end of the wand, and it's a bit like a fishing rod, is it gives you a bit of leverage when you're running around a garden. Because basically, if you're at home with the lockdown at the moment, you're going to be restricted on space possibly. So having a short line means less kites disappearing up into trees and getting tangled or lost. And on a short line like this, it's easier to control, and the children can actually fly these. If you had a big enough room, you could fly them indoors like a school hall. And if you had a school hall, you could have almost a whole class carefully going around the hall, flying them indoors. Now, I designed this kite originally for Scotland, where it rains most of the time. It's got lots of wind here, but we get a lot of rain. So I had to end up coming up with ideas that you could do inside school halls because of Scottish weather. And this is an indoor-outdoor kite. Works really well outside, but also can work indoors if you've got a big enough space. But we'll go outside soon and we'll test them.
Let's go fly a kite.
Those magnificent men in their flying machine, they go up to the up, they go down to the down. They enchant all the ladies and steal all the scenes with their up to the up, and then down to the down. Up, down, flying around, looping the loop and defying the ground. They're all frightfully keen, those magnificent men in their flying machines. They can fly up and down with their feet in the air. They don't think of danger, they really don't care. Newton would think he had made a mistake to see those young men and the chances they take. Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up, they go down to the down. They enchant all the ladies and steal all the scenes with their up to the up, and then down to the down. Up, down, flying around, looping the loop and defying the ground. They're all frightfully keen, those magnificent men in their flying machine. Those magnificent men in their flying machine, they go up to the up, they go down to the down. magnificent men, those magnificent men, those magnificent men.